Fortune for Your Disaster, poems by Hanif Abdurraqib. It occurs to me that I am loved most for the things I refuse to do out of anger or lust or whatever keeps me up at night. What I like most about rage is that it moves an animal of the body's own fashioning. The leash on mine is so fly, it makes the animal itself invisible. In the religion I found myself born into and then tasked with, restraint was a currency. I imagine this is why my therapist knows where her next meal is coming from. You are what you don't eat is the joke I tell while I push the bacon to the side of the plate. And this is all I have in common with my father. I am most romantic when I let a fist fall, limp at my side. I'm still yelling, put some respect on whatever my name sounds like out of the mouths of your white friends. Put some respect on the hood in which I am a target. Put a thick gold chain on the neck of the statue I am building for a man who worked shining shoes for 40 years, kneeling for people who tossed him coins without speaking. Put some coins in the fountain that the statue will rest in. Immovability is a type of reparations. The inspirational speaker asks us to imagine that we can become anything. I ask him to imagine that anything can become us. This one is called, It is an entirely different thing to walk into the river with stones. Stretching the fabric of pockets stitched onto a black overcoat. It may seem like now is not the time, but shout out to the stones, whom the old lovers would drop a needle on the first morning they woke to find out their beloved had run into the arms of another. Shout out to the snaps that firework and flourish from a record's ridges in the silence before a song starts. An animal running its claws against the bars of a prison long enough grows to love the sound more than it loves freedom. Mick Jagger got a pregnant Mary Clayton out of bed at midnight because he needed someone to sing the word murder like they were trying to squeeze it through a barbed wire fence without opening a wound on their own fingers. And Mary Clayton got home from the studio and miscarried, and when her voice tears at the air on the second syllable of murder, Jagger whispers, "Wow," and the song must hold up despite death. And it must still be able to sell a car or a sandwich or a war, no matter how many grains of sand it kicked down the tunnel of the hourglass. And it must be able to play in a market where two people trace entire futures out of each other. And it must be able to play in a market where two people trace entire futures out of each other with a cascade of stolen glances. What backstory? What suffering are you willing to make your soundtrack while pulling a zipper south or hiding a condom inside of a hotel Bible? Shout out never to my sins themselves, but always to the child they made me when I was consumed by them. Shout out to the names of boys I wish were never born and how I've held each name in my pocket and walked to the water's edge. And the final poem of Hanif's that I'll read. How can Black people write about flowers at a time like this? I maybe should have mentioned before this cruel unfurling began. I only believe in God so that I might have someone else to task with the blistered fingers and the trench of guilt they are responsible for placing in the direct center of any room where you desire shrinking of the distance between us. But it has been said that the first carnation bloomed from a tear of the Virgin Mary, which fell while Jesus carried the cross with blood streaming into his eyes. This is the part about a mother's love. How I wore a carnation at the tip of a suit jacket on a night a mother fought back tears and begged me not to do her daughter wrong. And so here, let's make a deal. Bring to me your palms overflowing with the production of your most intemperate anguish, and I promise there is no target I will not stand in front of for you. There is no wood that could fashion a cross to hold me.